In this lecture, we're going to do some scope analysis on our if statements. Let's look at a piece of code here, and we have a global variable that is declared at the outside of the main function. And inside the main function, we have a variable called green. We are testing for it in our if statement here. If the test succeeds, we're going to fall in the body, declare another variable called car count, and we're going to print the color and say how many cars should be going. If the test fails, we're going to execute the second statement here, which is the color is not green. But one thing you should know is that the if statement by itself is a scope. It's an essence scope inside wherever you put it. So the variable we declare inside this if statement here is not going to be visible at the outside of the if statement here. If we try to use that, we're going to get a compiler error. But what should really happen if we try to use car count inside this else block here? Try to think about that. We are also going to get a compiler error because this is also another independent block that should define its own local variables. So anything you define inside the else block is going to be constrained to the else block. And that's something you should really know. But the global variable is going to be accessible anywhere in the file. So we can use it in the main function inside this green block here where we have car count. We can use it in the else block here and even outside the if statement here once we hit the end of it. We can really use it anywhere in this file, provided we are trying to use it past the point where we declare this global variable, which is before the main function runs. This is really all I wanted to bring to your attention, especially the else block here, because it confuses many beginners, and I really wanted this to be super clear. Let's head over to Visual Studio Code and actually try this. Here we are in our working folder. The current project is Variable Scope Revisited, and we're going to grab our template files, and we're going to put them in place. And we're going to open this up in Visual Studio Code. We're going to open the main CPP file, and we're going to remove whatever it is we don't need. And we're going to jump into the main function and quickly type this code out. So we have a bool variable, which is called green, and we initialize this to false. And we are going to test for green. We're going to say if green, we're going to declare another variable called car count. And you can put in whatever number you want. I'm going to put in 23, and I'm going to put a semicolon, and I'm going to say light is green, and we're going to say the number of cars, and we're going to put our new line character through stdendl. This is going to do. And inside the else block here, we're going to say that the light is not green, so we shouldn't be moving. So we're going to say std cout. Okay, this is going to do. If we try to run this, the condition is going to be false, and we're going to say the light is not green, but we're not going to have access to the car count here. So if we try to do this, say car count, maybe increment this, whatever you might want to do with this variable, you're not going to be able to do it within the else block because this variable is simply not in scope. So the compiler doesn't know about this variable, and this is the error you're going to get. Let's try to build this so that you can really see this for yourself. We're going to get a compiler error. Car count was not declared in this scope. So this line here I can't really execute. So be careful about that. Compiler error, I'm going to say this. But if we comment this out, we're going to build just fine. So let's build again with GCC. The build is going to be good. Let's clear so that we see everything. We're going to bring up a new terminal. If we run Rooster, light is not green, y'all should stop. So this is what we get here. And again, the main message is that in if and else if statement, so each block we have, for example, the if block here, the else block, even if we have more else if blocks on here, each of these blocks is going to be its own scope. And variables you're going to declare inside are not going to be visible to other blocks or even at the outside of the entire if block chain here. So if we go outside and try to do car count here and do the increment like we always did, Visual Studio Code is going to start crying here, and this is going to be really bad. So it's going to say car count is undefined because it really isn't defined in this scope here. But if we have a global variable, let's comment this out first and say int global var and give it a number. You can put in whatever you want. I am going to put in a 44. We can use it anywhere in this file here. We can use it in the main function here. We can say global var and plus plus. This is going to work. We can use that inside the green block here. So we're going to say global var. We're going to increment that. That's going to work. We can use it in our else block. We can increment it, and we can even try to use it at the outside. So we're going to say stdcl global var, and we're going to print it and see whatever value is inside. Okay, if we try to compile this, this is going to go through and try to guess the value we're going to get in there. We initialize this with a 44, we increment it. This is going to make it a 45, and we increment it again in here. This is going to make it a 46. And we try to increment it here, but the green block here is not going to run because the condition is false here. So this is not really going to increment to 46. So let's take this out. What is going to increment to 46 is this. We're going to get it to 46. And once we hit here, we're going to print 46 for global var. This is what we should get. Let's try and build with GCC as we always do. And we're going to bring this up a little bit. We're going to clear and run Rooster. You see that global var is 46 and it is working as expected. This is really all we set out to do in this lecture. I hope you found it interesting. We are going to stop here in this lecture. The next one, we're going to see how scope works with a switch statement. Go ahead and finish up here and meet me there.